So yeah, guys, as I told you, our fabric is a intelligent, right? Intelligent and software specific. Okay. Mm, so you don't need to worry about the configurations like a port configuration and all, because it can configure on its own based on that target device which is connected to that particular port. Okay. So here, these are the different port types which are available uh, in a switched fabric environment. So you can configure them manually. You can configure the ports to these types manually, or I mean, our fabric can do it on its own. Okay. First, let me explain you all the port types available in here in fabric switched fabric. So the first port is N port. N port is nothing but a fabric device directly attached. So I have a fabric. Okay, let's assume. So this is my fabric. Okay, this is my fabric A. I have only one fabric. Let's assume that. So I have a server. Okay, which is connected to one of the port in any of the switch in my fabric. So the HPA port on server end, we'll call it as N port. Okay, we'll call the port, the HPA port on our server as N port. Okay. Next, NL port, node loop port, a device attached to a loop. For example, I have a server which is a part of a arbitrated loop, and through the loop only it connected to my fabric. Then the port on server end will call that port as NL port, node loop port. Okay, node loop port. Next, these are device ports. Like if it is a storage or server, I mean whichever port you're using to connect that device to our fabric, will call those ports as a N port or NL port. If it is a part of FCIL loop, then we'll call it it will be NL port. If it is directly connected to our fabric without help of any hubs, or it is not part of any FCIL network, then it is a directly N port. It is same for even storage or server. Okay. And these are the switch ports. Actually, U port, universal port, a port waiting to become another port type. For example, you have connected a server to our fabric. Now it is in the now it is in the phase of now what our switch will do. Switch will try to identify the device which is connected to that particular port. While identifying what the switch will do, the switch will convert that port into a U port. Okay, while it is in a waiting stage. After that, when it identified the device, so based on that, it will connect the U port to any of the other port. But while it is discovering the device, the port status will be in U port. Next, FL port. FL port is nothing but, for example, as I discussed earlier. Okay, I have a server and this is my fabric. Okay, and I have a switch in here, and in this switch I have a port. Okay, this is my port, let's assume that, and this is my HPA. So my HPA, server HPA, connected to this port on a switch. So I'll call this port on switch as F port. That means fabric port. And you know, right, already we'll call this HBA port as N port. Okay. For example, let's assume I have a hub in here. Okay, I have a hub here. Mhm. And my server connected to this hub, and this hub connected to my switch. Okay, now I'll call this port as NL port. That is what I explained you earlier. Okay, NL port. Okay, and the port at the fabric end, will call it as FL port, because the device is not connected to us directly. It connected with the help of hub, or it connected to us through another topology, fiber channel arbitrated loop topology. Then the port will be automatically configured as FL port, or you can do it manually as a convert it as a FL port. Okay, got it, guys? So fabric port or fabric loop port. Next, G port, generic port, a port waiting to be an F port or A port. I mean, generally, uh, whenever you bought a switch, all the ports will be in all the ports are in G ports only. So once you connect the device to that particular port, then the port will converted to F port or FL port or some other port from a G port. But by default, all the ports are G ports only. Okay, F port I already explained. Fabric port, a port which N port attaches. Okay, E port. E port is the expansion port, a port used for inter-switch link. For example, let's assume this is my entire fabric, right? This is my fabric, and in my fabric, I have two switches. I need to establish the communication between these two switches, right? Then only I'll be able to treat them as a single network. I mean, the switches in a single network. So normally for DCX, we have a dedicated ports for i- internal communication between the switches. But what about the director level ports? Or what about the legacy switches, legacy director level switches like a 48K, 24K, and 12K? They don't have any dedicated ports, ICL ports for switch to switch connectivity. So that time, what you have to do whenever you are planning to connect one switch with another switch with the normal fabric ports, then you need to convert them into e-port. E-port means nothing but expansion port. If you want to connect your switch 1 with a switch 2, then you will choose few ports on switch 1, and you will choose few ports on switch 2, and you will convert them. You'll do cabling. They'll convert they'll be converted as a e-ports automatically, or else you can do it manually also. You can convert them manually as a e-port. Okay, so that the the communication between these two switches will be established. Okay, uh, along with that, we'll be having like three more ports: VE port, EX ports, VEX ports. These are for uh, VE port is for FCIP fabric bases. For example, okay, I have a sandwich here. Okay, so I have to connect my sandwich to a router. Okay, a router. mm, okay, a router, so that I can uh, copy all my data to a remote location. So but routers will be uh, they are IP network based, right? They are not a fiber channel routers. So what I need to do, I need to convert one of my port into VE port, so that okay, it will pass the data from my brocade switch to router in the form of FCIP. Okay, FCIP, and from here my router will convert the data into IP. I mean IP based, and it will transfer the data to the another data center. Okay, this is how we can establish with the help of VE port only. We can establish the communication between our fabric switches and our routers in data center. So we'll convert the data in a with the with will establish the communication the help of FCIP protocol. Okay, the same way e-export is nothing but a type of e-port used to connect to a FC router fabric. The same. Okay, VE export is no different than e-export, except underlying transport is IP rather than FC port. Okay, I mean the physical protocol will change. You don't need to worry about this VE, EX, and VE exports because again these are very advanced. Only architect guys will deal with these things. They'll design these things how it has to flow the data uh, between the data centers and how it has to connect to our fabric like that. It will be taken care by architects. Maybe Tawab is doing that. Okay. So yeah, these are the ports, guys, which we have in our environment. I'll share these documents with you, but the guys who are new to storage, who are not working on storage, Vinay and um, Praveen, don't go through these documents because these are level 4 documents which may confuse you. That is the reason. Please don't go through these documents, but I'll share them with you as well. So it contains in-depth information. Okay, but I suggest you to don't go through these documentation. Okay, these documents will help the persons who already working on SAN and they want to upgrade their skills. Okay, so that's it, guys. Any questions? So tomorrow I'll show you like how we can present storage from Netapp through FC protocol, and I'll explain FCOE as well. What is the difference between FC and FCOE as well in tomorrow's session? Any questions?